off. There we go.
Yeah.
So that's and it's interesting because my countdown hit 1 second, about 3 seconds before your countdown hit 1 second. It's funny how it's apparently not a real countdown universally, but yeah, we did it and it's cool. We're live and hey, next week hopefully we'll have a video intro with some cool music like it did for the GEMS Association, Georgia EMS Association interview that we did. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But as Tom gets set up, I want to talk about a little controversy, a little thing that we want to start the part with.
Charles.
So it's the representation of EMS, right? It's always been firefighters do everything. They save the world. They're hunky calendar, and they're not all hunky calendar fools. I'm just telling you. Yeah, a lot of them look like me, but whatever. Police officers shoot bad guys and save the world, and we can't even get our own puppy on Paw Patrol. Do you believe that crap?
That's some crap. Did y'all like my little post on there about Paw Patrol?
Yeah, man, that's some hard knocked life right there. Can't even get a Paw Patrol puppy, and Tom posted that. And I was like, wait a minute, is that right? And I went and looked it up, and here's the deal: the fire dog, right, which is I believe is a Dalmatian as well. But he's got the whole fire helmet. It's all red. He's got a flame on it. He's got a fire jacket. It's all red with the gold trimming. His vehicle, quotey fingers, is 2/3 fire truck, right? The front end is fire truck and the back end has a ladder. And then the top of the back end has ambulance white on it. I was like, no.
So are you saying he's a mutt?
No, his car's a mutt. His car's an El Camino is what it is. A fire Camino. But no, we need our own puppy.
We need our own puppy. Yes.
We're gonna start.
Are we gonna be social warriors now?
We are. We're gonna social justice for EMS. Hey, Kyron Wright, how you doing? Kyron, hadn't seen you in a hot minute, man. So earlier today, while I was at the Region 3 meeting, which we'll talk about in seriousness here in just a few minutes. Oh, I'll have my notes on my desk behind me.
What, the Paw Patrol's not serious?
I know it is. I just said I'm not teasing things out. That's what I'm saying. Well, we will actually get to the Region 3 stuff. You, sir, hosted an EMT psychomotor exam today.
Yes, I did.
And how'd that go?
100%. Count those big ones. 100% pass rate on the first attempt. Booyah!
That's pretty solid, man. 100% on the first attempt. That's actually
they knocked it out of the water. They kicked it, buddy.
Now we kind of we as a collective whole in the school kind of put a fear of God on them, right? Going, well, you guys have been here. You're not practicing. You're not doing what you got to do. I mean, Dawn was on them. I was on them. Vanessa was on them. You came through. We're up on them. So I think.
Oh, you want to go home?
Yeah.
Go do 2 more spinal immobilizations, and we'll see.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting time. So, how many were in that class? 8, 7 or 8. It was a 10-week class. We only do those in the summertime.
Right.
But it was 10 weeks of being here 2 days a week for 8 hours a day. Well, we say 8 hours a day, but they did try to skip out plenty enough.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, we're doing a lecture at 3 o'clock. Can we go?
No. Nope. We are going to train.
So, and it worked, man. They were at 100% pass. It was great. I know a number of the students have reported their own final exam numbers, and it's above the 90s. Yeah, they're getting above 90s on that final exam. So that's pretty solid. And then, we got the cognitive coming up for them. They got 2 years to take it. Who knows how fast they'll move. I know Jerry Webb, who's watching right now, he's sweating. I keep telling him, man, it's just the only thing that's going to get you is if you overthink it. If you overthink, just know what you know. Read what it says. Watch those knots, right? This is a little free test-taking tip from Georgia Institute of EMS. It's a lot of people read the question, especially in practice, because in the real test, you don't get the feedback. But in the practice test, you get the feedback. And they'll read the question, they'll get it wrong. But big capital N-O-T. Which one is not the correct answer? What's the thing we don't want you to do here? Those kind of things. So Even though you think you know the answer, because that's the thing. In those not questions, you know the answer. It's, CPR. You find somebody in conscious unresponsive. What do you not do first? And they go, oh, first thing I do is I check the pulse. And I call for 911. It's like, so they'll pick check the pulse. But it's what you don't do first is check the airway. It's not, you don't open the airway and listen to feel anymore. So it's those kind of things. You got to watch for that. So I think Jeremy as a whole will be fine. I think this class as a whole will probably be fine.
I do too.
So, oh man. So
and we had our first 5-weeker pass too.
Oh, for the cognitive?
Yep.
Who was that?
Don't forget.
Okay, awesome.
Hold on.
Woo, we forget. Yay!
Hold on, I'll tell you. Well, it's in the WhatsApp. You got your WhatsApp thing?
I do.
Look at the WhatsApp because it's on there.
So I will look that up. We were visited this week as I pull up WhatsApp. I can't remember where I left it. Is this it? There it is. We were visited this week by Chad Black of Georgia EMS Association.
Yes.
And he came in. That's a 10-week class. Where's the 5-week? There it is. Let's see. Oh, I'm way behind. Let's see. Who got congratulations? Robbie Jackson.
Yep. Yeah, that's
apparently took it. And he says he had to take it. He took it at Athens Tech. I didn't know Athens Tech was a testing site.
Yep.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, they have a
a computer lab there that's secure? Okay. I just kind of assumed it was all
Pearson
Views.
They are.
They're just partner with Athens Tech? Okay. So very cool. Congratulations. But yeah, we had Chad Black come, and I really wanted to pick his brain about the Transparency Project and get into some gritty details there, and we kind of ran out of time, and really his intent, which is fine too, his intent came to be, let's talk about what Georgia EMS Association is doing. Now, they've been around for a while. Probably, I think they were around when I was on the truck, but I could not, at the time, for the life of me, figure out why I would want to pay to join them, what they're actually going to do for me. And in my career time, I think the biggest effect I saw them have was that they got the EMS tags. Right, we got a Star of Life on the tag that we have to pay $50 for, $25 or whatever it is to get, and then that goes to I don't know. I'm sure it goes somewhere important, but and this was again a little pre-internet, right? We were on Nextel phones at that time doing the chirps.
I don't think that the tag thing does anything much except for gives you tagging recognition, just like police,
but the money,
fire,
that's your money. Part of it was supposed to go to fund lobbying or something.
No, it all goes to the same place. All the tag things, money goes to the same.
See, I was misinformed, and then that's it. So why do I care?
Well, you got look.
Because the Popo ain't gonna not give you a ticket. Maybe if you have the fire starter on, they might.
I'm not gonna say that they help you out. They may help a brother out every now and then. But, it's a pride thing. And it took legislation. It took people, and that's what the people wanted. People said they wanted, hey, Teresa, that's what they wanted. So that's what, the association is, and that's what they're there for. Now, I will say I used to be a strong member in it, and then it got stagnant. Things wasn't happening. But right now, they're working on the pension fund, and I am going to start waving that pension flag because we need it. Police have a pension, fire has a pension, and it follows them. So if you leave this department, go to another department, your pension follows you.
Right,
and you can
it's
retire
one localized thing.
with a really good pension. We need that in EMS. We need it to help retain EMS people in the field, but we need it as a whole, and they are on it, and they need your help to get in there. So for this pension to become reality, we need the numbers in there. So it's $25 a year. Jump in there, become a member of GEMSA so that we can get that pension, and that's why I would stand behind it. Now,
and he said the numbers were down to 5,000. If they got 5,000 people.
Yep. So we roughly need about 2,500 more people to join.
Yeah, that's a huge number. I mean, it's doubling their size.
There's like 20+ 1,000 people, providers in the state. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris, they should have had one in the beginning. And the good thing is about this pension fund is like, unlike the police and law enforcement pension fund, if you're a law enforcement officer, you can only participate in the law enforcement one. You can't do both.
Because
fire
government backed or government funded, something
but
like
this
that.
one, you can be a firefighter and get the EMS pension as well.
Because it's
Because it's privately funded, yep. And you could be a law enforcement officer and get the EMS pension as well.
So somebody like Patrick Carey could have both.
Yeah, exactly. Sure could. Or, any of the firefighters out there could do it as well.
I mean, and this, I do want to be clear about what we're talking about. This is all potential, right? This is what they're working for. That's what the plans that they have pitched. Until it becomes a reality, things are subject to change, I guess is what I want to say. Because I'd hate for somebody to start signing up, like, well, this was promised to me. Nothing's a promise. Everything is, Chad, this is, as the president, this is the direction he's taking it in. This is what he wants to do with it. On paper, the pitches that they've gotten from the private companies have been what we're talking about here.
Well, they're pretty sure that once we get those numbers up, then they can take it to that next level and get it initiated.
Yeah.
So those of you out there, we've got a video of Chad Black on our Facebook. Share it with everybody. Get the word out. Let everybody listen to what Chad has to say. And also send our podcast, this one, out too. Throw it out there.
Yeah.
People are willing to, any Thursday from, 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, hit us up. Ask us questions during the show. Or, Charles will give us the information there at the end about sending questions. There's his email, charles@gaims.com. Send him a question. We'll address it too. And we'll get in touch with Chad and if you send it to us beforehand, we'll get in touch with them.
Yeah, we'll do everything we can to reach out and get you official answers. I mean, the other thing he talked about, because I saw this, we posted in some of the groups asking people, what do you think about the pension and this and that. The other. I might actually pull that up and we'll address some of the concerns there. But funding, of course, is one I was like, well, it's going to take 20 years before they can start paying out if they just do it at so many people, so much money per month to get it done. And Chad said that they don't have any backers yet, or at least the ones they could talk about. You know how that goes until the ink is dry on the paper and it's locked in. You don't talk about it. But that they are reaching out to big companies to help fund it. So essentially, 2 to 4 companies putting in $250,000 each. You start with $1 million in the fund. That starts building interest immediately.
Yep, and that helps as well too. And also, what was really interesting that he said to us, Charles, was that if you are in it for 20, 25 years till it's vested, right, and you pay your $25 a month for all those years, you will get a return on your investment within the first 7 or 8 months when you retire.
It comes down to $300 a year, roughly, is what it comes down to, and times 2, that's what, $6,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, your pension is going to be more than $6,000 for a year.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to get that.
You're going to get that back and then some.
I found the link. I'm going to post it here on Facebook.
Charles is going to put that link in there right now.
Now, the pension is not a thing yet. This is what they're working towards. So if you signed up for the association today, hoping to sign up for the pension tonight, that's not going to happen.
There are other benefits to being in there, but, like I said, it's $25 a year,
Yeah. Does it get you a discount on the...
It gets you a lot of they've got a lot of discount plans. They've got like one of those discount groups that you remember of, where you can get discounts on theme park tickets, on rental cars.
That's not where I was going, but that's cool.
On rental cars, hotels, and stuff like that. There's a lot of, and office supplies, and there's also that big buying group you can join as well. Hey, Trey.
Well, I was actually, I think this is a group I want to go to. What I was actually wondering is if it gave you that discount on like the leadership conference or the other educational conference.
Yes, it does.
Okay,
yep,
that's
you also get a discount on going to the conferences as well.
So I found the post. We're in a group called EMT and Paramedics of Georgia, and I posted the question. And I'm going to scroll through to see if there's anything that's worth discussing, because there's a good discussion there. And you can go join that group and look at the discussion. There's 48 some odd people in on that discussion. It's never too late, right? Unless you're already retired, I guess.
Well, you have to be active.
You have to be active in the field.
You have to be active in the field So you do have to do that.
William K. I'll just call him William K. Because this is a closed group, so it's not like they posted to us publicly. Says he thinks that it would help keep people in EMS. I don't know. I don't talk to everybody, but I never would have thought a pension would keep you versus move you into another.
Well, if you get
career.
out, if you've been doing it and you've been paying into it for, 15, 20 years, why would you get out before you're vested if you're going to get? So pensions and stuff do help keep people in. That's why companies try to have a pension fund.
I mean, I originally started my career wanting to be a police officer and then realized that was not going to work out for me very well at all. And ultimately fell into medicine by accident there. Now, Chris. Oh, so Chris is saying, let me throw this up on the screen. Chris commented, people will be dumb not to sign up for a $25 per year pension. Now, to be clear, what they were saying is it's $25 a year to join. How do I turn that off? Thank you. To join the association, right? That's flat $25. Then, if the pension comes through the way they want it to, it came down to $25 a month, is what it came down to, roughly $300 a year.
Right.
And
but you have to be a member of GEMSA.
So it's still it's $325 a year essentially, because $25 for the membership and $300.
And it's okay to be in the fire department as well. So it is okay for the fire.
Active
EMS
is basically you just have your numbers.
You got your numbers and you're working somewhere in the field.
So how would that work for us?
Well, we're working in the field. There's different parts of the field. You could be working in a hospital. You could be an educator. We're still part of it.
Last time I checked, the field didn't have nice air conditioning and good lighting and music.
It doesn't for a director either, or supervisors that sit in the office too.
Yeah, but they got no. I mean they. So I was thinking education versus working for an analyst provider.
He said as long as you had to be like either teaching or something like that. So
Mark Smith says, I'm 14 years in, won't do much for me, but we definitely do a lot for others.
Well, they're talking about potential buyback. So just think about it. I don't know any particulars yet, because he's talking about like down the road that we could actually go in and pay and buy that time back. So if you wanted to buy 10 years, you could pay $3,000, I guess, and get
roughly,
roughly. Now this is disclaimer. Please put disclaimer out there. I am not selling this product, and I am not the final authority. Things could change. I'm just a guy who thinks that we need it in our industry so that we can be like fire, we can be like law enforcement, and we can have something as well. So listen to Chad's video. If you do have questions, like I said, send them to us. We'll relay it to Chad. Maybe we can get Chad on here again for a live show. He couldn't be here for the live show, so we recorded one. So maybe we could get that going as well, and we could facilitate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the video is, of course, on Facebook and YouTube. It's on our YouTube channel as well, Georgia Institute of EMS on YouTube, so you can watch that however you consume your videos. But it's also audio form. You can find us on Spotify, on Google Play, under Georgia Institute of EMS, in podcast form. iTunes is a bugger right now, and we're working on that.
Yeah.
But it's.
Let me down, Apple. You're letting me down.
Apple does a lot of things great. They've never done this well. But we're working on that part. But, yeah, we're in Spotify and Google Play. And quite possibly, as well as Anchor.fm as well. You can look us up there.
Yep.
And so you can just copy the RSS feed and put it if you have a player. It's an actual RSS feed. It's legit. It's just not something that you can pop open maybe in any player and find, because most players use the Apple database. And we're not in that yet. So you can listen to it as well. Is out there. We've got 3 podcasts up right now, and I'm trying each week to do these live videos. 2 podcasts is what we'll be doing.
Mm-hmm. And Trey says it would be great, especially those that aren't with a fire department and work private EMS. And you're right, because a lot of these private EMSs don't have, a lot of benefits, and this would give some benefits, especially because it transfers. If you are working at XYZ ambulance today, and 2 years later you go to work for ABC ambulance company, your benefit would follow you no matter where you go.
Yeah, and I'm going to address this comment here as well. It'd be interesting. But, I mean, this is something we'll talk about today. It might come up in normal conversation in the future. But, if they'd like us to really push membership, they could sponsor us each month.
Yeah,
each
come
episode.
on. Yeah,
you know,
we could do that.
well, this episode can be brought to you by GEMSA.
Yeah.
And we'll be more than happy to say, go sign up today.
Yep.
So yeah, that's just a thought. That's just a thought. Put it out there. So this was a comment by Roger B. So he says, "No, I don't think Roger necessarily read above very much." And of course, he immediately gets 3 likes, and he immediately gets somebody saying, "Oh, you're right." It'll never happen. Private EMS is not funded by state funds or city or county, which is why you're not on a state plan. The so-called plan that is being talked about would require a state vote by Senate. They literally 4 or 5 posts up. Let me tell you who it was who posted. Okay, it's a little bit higher than 4 or 5 posts up, but right here, Kimberly Moore Littleton, and I call her name out.
Who is the director?
Because she's the director of it, posted very clearly, this is what it is, this is what's going on, private, this and that, the other. And so they're talking about how it's not a state thing. Well, okay, whoever it was, Roger, yeah, it would take a vote. And actually in the 80s, somewhere in the 80s, early 90s, somebody was talking about how they did a vote and fire departments opposed it and encouraged all their people to vote against it and so on. But this is not a state mandated or state
not a government
funded thing.
It's private.
So why to come out of the gate punching like that? Read.
Get
ignorant.
your information first. You know, it is a private thing. It's not and you're right. That's why EMS doesn't have a pension fund like fire, like law enforcement does. 100%. That's why EMS has had the problem. That's why EMS is having to go through the private thing. And I say, hey, Chad's joined us. So, hey, Chad, maybe if you want to pipe in here with anything.
Chad can watch, but he can't be on live. Okay, Chad.
Well, he can have a phone somewhere, Charles. He's allowed to. He's got to work.
Hey, I kind of thought I'd see you this morning at the Region 3, but he didn't make it this morning. What's funny about Roger here, so he's negative, right? It won't happen. Then halfway through he goes, the only way you're going to get EMS in Georgia to achieve this is to have a union like the fire police and run it as a corporation. Or maybe an association,
or a Georgia
perhaps.
Association, yep.
It's private money, and that's what he's talking about, is an organized group of employees and pull the money. It doesn't have to be employees.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a union. Well, technically, by definition, it's a union of people coming together, but it's not
a labor union.
Yeah, it's not a labor union. Yeah,
it's just a group of people who's together for a common cause to benefit EMS in the entire state of Georgia, and that's what the GEMSA is, our official planning board.
This is an interesting question by Rob. Again, this is from a closed group, so I'm not trying to out people because they might be talking openly because they feel protected. Rob A says, question, and I apologize in advance, will EMS, as we know it, be here in 20 years? Today, there are some 2,000 medics here in Georgia that have their tickets and maintain their certs only to function as providers in the allied healthcare field. So I hate to think about what is coming, but will the profession as we know it be here in 2040? This is part of he says this is only a Band-Aid on the problem, but it is a hemorrhage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even when I went to EMT school and got to ride, this is back when DeKalb ran its own fire, or maybe it was Gwinnett Fire, one of the two big fire departments. I got to ride with them, and they were talking about how medics were actively letting their medic numbers go and rolling back to then intermediates so they could. We talked about that, and people were leaving the field. I left the field. Now technically, I guess I'm back to the field. Although it doesn't look much like field service to me, but I'll take it. I appreciate it. Oh, I saw Robin Spencer today. She gave me a big old hug.
Cool.
She was on shift today and saw her when I went up there. Oh, I got to turn that down. So, but it's people, you lose people all the time. Retirement, burnout. That's somewhat of a legit question.
Somewhat, but I think it's going to be around. I mean, somebody's got to be there to respond in some way or the other.
Yeah.
I don't think, EMS isn't just going to go away.
No.
I mean,
the reality is, I think the reality is, if there's a private pension, and let's say what I think fire's been trying to do forever is merge it where it's all under the roof of fire, because that's more power, more politics, whatever. I'm not saying fire as a whole hates him, but I'm just saying, from a power standpoint, I could see that.
Or some would.
Some would want that.
There's some are like, get away.
Exactly.
Stay away.
So let's say it does merge. I would think that through all of that, the biggest question would be, okay, we have this pension of money that these people deserve. how do we deal with that? And then because to merge EMS and fire, you have to have legislation. It has to be a whole new state mandate.
And I don't think that's
thing.
ever going. There's too
Too
much private
yeah,
funds
too
in
much
there.
problems.
It's already established in there. So
Yeah.
don't think that's going to happen. That's why this way to do the pension, I think, is going to. It's finally a viable, and we can finally see it. It's almost like you can see something now. In the past, it was just a thought, just people talking. But now, people are doing something to get it there. So
Yeah. So that's a little wrap up. Again, the video is here on Facebook. You can look at it in our videos. Actually, I think it's the post one or two before this live video even. It's also on youtube.com. I believe it's /Georgia Institute of EMS, but in case it's not, just look up Georgia Institute of EMS on YouTube and find us on Spotify and Google Play and other podcatchers out there. You can listen to it there. Now, the other thing that we really wanted to bring up, here's something, this kind of ties into the back end of what we're going to talk about, which is the Region 3 Council meeting. But I heard the word transparency a whole lot today from the council. We need to make sure there's transparency. We need to, and I thought it interesting because Benny Atkins is there. He was the representative for, is it MSAC? Yeah, MSAC for that committee. And I know he's been under fire in Athens. Some of the people who support Transparency Project are going after him in Athens and this and that and the other. And he made sure to use those words. Yeah, we definitely need to be transparent. And there were some good things brought up in the meeting to that end that we'll cover. But the Transparency Project itself, right? Maybe I'm just taking things, maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm just taking things too much at a face value. But I do believe everything about our process that is not trade secrets, right? I don't need to know your contracts of what you're bidding to get this done. Although, if everybody knew everybody else's bid, it kind of would make it even, Steven. I don't know. Yeah. But we need to be, as citizens, we need to be able to go, what are the actual run times in DeKalb County? Because those get reported today. We've talked about this at all. We need to know what's in the RFP, for any county. I didn't, again, been in the field 20-something years. I had no idea South Fulton didn't control their own providership. Right. That blew my mind. Are you kidding me? You're your own sovereign county? Sovereign being a loose word because everybody answers to the state.
Newton County doesn't own theirs either.
Well, they don't own it. The hospital owns it, but it's still locally serviced as opposed to the region.
Piedmont owns the hospital.
Well, that's true. See that, and that's the thing.
Same thing. Athens, Clark County. It's on between Piedmont and St. Mary's. And
they are the ones who brought in National to service as a joint provider.
Yep.
Interesting. See that, and we'll get to something they're talking about with that Benny did talk about at the meeting today. But Tom, you wanted to kind of address the transparency stuff a little bit too. Mm-hmm. I heard because I read the bill, one of the bills. I didn't know there's 3 proposed last year. Chad referred to them. One of the bills that we knew about from the Transparency Project they were backing, or maybe it helped write or whatever. I read that, and the gist of it was no closed doors meetings. You really have to announce stuff well ahead. Those words were coming out in today's meeting.
Right.
They were saying, and I mean, I got the email a month ago. Let's just call it 2 weeks, but I think it's more than 2 weeks ago. Well in advance. Here's the meeting. Here's the proposed agenda at this time. The agenda barely changed, so they didn't send out a revised one. And as I walked up to the building, there was on the door where it's being held the clear agenda, and it's posted and initialed and had a date and time.
Right.
It's posted. So it was there. I saw Yamil from AJC there, mm-hmm. and so she obviously had the information as well. I believe you can just go to the EMS website or the Department of EMS.gov. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. And it has a calendar there that then you can copy to you can subscribe to it through your Google Calendar so you see when the meetings are coming up. So they're doing more. Right. What is it that you think needs to be addressed, other than we need to get people at the table talking?
Yeah, that's the main thing. It sounds like that, for the most part, the council and EMS is addressing this head on without legislation. I do agree that with a lot of what I did read, like when we read that bill, I think it needs to be open. If there's any decisions made about a zone, it needs to be in the public eye. There doesn't need to be any backdoor deals or anything like that. And it needs to be on the up and up, and it needs to be legit and ethical. I think
and
I think
real.
everyone in real and everyone can agree with that. And it needs to be sustainable. I think that they might need to be more questions that come up. I think that it's not acceptable for if a service is if a zone is being pushed to be open, and it's open and now it's up for RFP. I don't think another service should be able to come in and say, "Oh yeah, well they're doing them they're doing transports in 11 minutes. Oh, I can do it in 8, and I guarantee it." Okay, well before you can get that, how are you going to do it, Nate? I want to see
detailed plan. Yes.
Before you do this without
cut down on the lying crap.
Yeah, I don't think that it should. I think that those should happen. I do not think that zones should automatically come open every few years either. I think that's just like Chad was telling us in our thing. That would be too cost prohibitive, and that would inhibit a company like National. Just use a National person. Why would they invest in a county if they know that in 2 years I may not get it back? Why would they hire more people without that? There has to be some stability there. Now, if they're not doing a good job, then there should be clear process to open that zone.
Maybe it goes to the people or something.
There needs to be, if there's problems, and I think the council is addressing that. What I believe needs to happen, and I've heard this side and I've heard this side. I think 80 to 90% of what both sides are saying, both sides agree on. And I think if they come to the table and talk, both of them can talk and get things done.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Right. So
and I don't even think they're enemies.
No.
They don't even know that.
Right. I know that. I understand. But I use that because on the surface in the reports, the Transparency Project is kind of snapping off at GEMSA and GEMSA's replying.
Or just EMS in total.
So there's some of that. But when I say the enemy is bad service. The enemy is bad systems. The enemy the enemy of my enemy is, hey, maybe I don't like GEMSA because they're saying this, and maybe GEMSA doesn't like them because they're saying that, blah, blah, blah. But how about we sit down? That's what discussion and discourse is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. It's not we divide because we disagree. It's we find some way to get mostly agreement together. And, there's a table right here in between us. We'll do it on Facebook. We'll do it on video.
Yep.
Y'all want to come sit down at this table? We're offering it to you.
Or y'all can do it. Just get together and talk.
You could do that, but that's not nearly as fun or entertaining.
Not
and not as accountable because when you record it, you're accountable for what you said. But when I talked about the realness of it, I wasn't even thinking about and we'll get to Fulton County, South Fulton County, but I wasn't even thinking about that coming through. I was thinking about back in the day when I was at Jasper County, and they ran their own services all under fire. Well, they decided to open it up for bid, and for the podcast, I'm using quotey fingers because I learned the hard way. I never want to deal with politics because they're liars.
Right.
And they didn't open it up for bid. They opened it up for quotey fingers bid to get the person they wanted out of power. They didn't. Ed Westbrook. There was a few council members that did not like him and had been after him personally for years. I forget her name because she's very public. Mary something.
Yeah,
she had run the Watchdog group.
She now does the Watchdog group.
Well, she did it before.
I think she's doing it still.
And so she probably gave it up while she's on the council, but then it's back to it. But it was never we need to improve EMS. It was Ed Westbrook. So then she ran for council, got it, county commissioner. She got county commissioner, and then it was just after him. And they didn't have
and he was a good man.
Reason he was, and he would admit because I sat there with him like, dude, no offense, but I think you should let me run this. I mean, I was egotistical and an asshole, but I was like, you should let me run this because you don't know medicine.
All right.
And he goes, you're absolutely right. They put this hat on me. I don't have the power to take it off. I'm running this, and this. All I really want to do is be a fire chief. He made no bones about that. And I see Lisa Pope's watching right now. She was there during that time with me. I recall vividly, me and her worked a lot to basically help run it. And he let us. And what happened with that bid, which was false. They were never going to bring in another ambulance service. They got him out of power and decided to run. The commissioners ran it themselves, which means they hired a director who answered to them. And how'd that work out, Jasper County?
How many directors later?
Yeah, exactly. At least 4, if not more than that. And it hasn't improved. The county's still dying.
Same.
People are moving out.
Still
Businesses
2
not
ambulances.
moving in. Still 2 ambulances. It's
Let's be
crap.
honest, dude. Just getting on it. Jasper County, the people that live in Jasper County, they don't want business coming in. They don't want any of that. They want it to be a country town.
Yeah.
You know.
We're the deer capital of the world. Okay. Yeah. And how's that make you money?
People retired. You know, that's why most of the county hates Turtle Cove. You know.
Oh, because all of us public safety and outsiders
younger people move there.
Yeah. So that was what I was talking about. Yeah, I definitely think the system needs to be revamped. We've talked about that a few times, and they're actually looking at that. So,
but it sounds like from what you're saying now, they're doing that.
Yeah,
they're doing it internally. So I think if both camps sit down and talk, they'll find out. Hey, really, you agree with that? Oh, I think the same way.
Yeah.
Well, let's work together and let's make this happen, because I think that, like I said, 80% of what both sides are for. Mm-hmm. They are in the same thing.
This is a story I don't think I've ever really shared except with the person in the story. But leading up to that vote, there was a schism in EMS in Jasper County. And I felt and believed I was on one side, and I felt and believed Lisa Pope was on the other side. And that we weren't coming out as enemies, but we were both hiding what we were doing.
Right.
We were both moving to our own agendas. And I got played. I got played by that Mary chick a little bit through somebody else, because I made an honest report, and I stood up and made an honest presentation of, this is what this county needs. I live here, my family's here, it's my heart. It's not about politics, blah blah. And I realized I wasted my time, and she gave another report right after that. We ended up working together, being at the same station. I went by the station to see her. I don't remember if it was that night or the next day, but it was very soon after that. I sat down with her, just me and her in the bay, and we just cleared the air, because we realized. Well, at least I realized, I'm not going to speak for her, but I realized she was never my enemy. She was never on the other side. We were coming at the same problem in 2 different ways, and had we just talked to each other.
the same outcome.
Yeah, just a better service. And had we talked to each other, we could have teamed up on it. And that's what you're talking about. Sometimes you just get in your head, you see the world the way you see it, and you don't open yourself to other viewpoints. Because that's the thing. Sometimes disruptors make for change, and I think the Transparency Project and all these watchdog groups are disruptors. And because I'm noticing the verbiage, and I don't think it's just lip service, because I usually can read into that. And I'll be honest, I've got a history of Benny Atkins. We go way back, and it's not all good. Actually, most of it's not good.
Well, I mean, but your employer.
He was my employer. It happens. Yeah. But so I'm just saying. So I'm the one actually going to call him out first. I think I'm more eager to. I felt like, having dealt with him in the past, and now when he said we need more transparency, when he said what I'm about to talk about here with the MSAC and the zoning process, that they're honestly looking for a good solution.
Yeah. Overall.
And I think everybody, I don't know what the cycle is, but when everybody cycles off that committee, which he will at some point, somebody else will come in. Maybe he'll be on a different side saying, no, I need his own. I don't know. But right now he's serving the state and the people of the state well. Well enough for me to go, maybe I need to change my opinion on him and not be so quick to judge. But I'll jump to that. So explain to me, because there might be a lot of people out here who, like me, didn't know exactly what this meant. What is the MSAC?
I believe that's the medical directors.
MSAC. So perhaps I probably could have looked it up before this, but I was getting my notes ready. So they had a meeting in February. They're going to meet again this month. There's a subcommittee there. And there's 3 people on it, which Benny is not one of them. He named off the 3 people, but honestly, I'm sure this is public knowledge. If not, you can file an information request. It didn't feel like it's important to have the names, but that sub-council under MSAC is going to come back to MSAC and also to the Region 3. But I think MSAC is a statewide thing, so he's like the Region 3 representative on that council. So he'll bring back different. So I think it's a higher, different council is what it sounds like to me. I'm learning this stuff. Regrettably, because I really hate politics, and some of it's politics, but there's change here coming.
All right.
So they are taking a look. This sub-council is taking a hard look at the zoning process, the positives of it, as he said, the negatives of it, and as a whole, what do we need to revamp? How do we need to reduce zones? But it's all about that zoning process, which I'm not entirely sure that goes hand in hand with providership. I think it does, but it's really about looking at the issues that are plaguing the system. And I don't know when the subcommittee meets. I know MSAC meets again this month, so probably November we'll get some kind of initial update, but it'll probably be February before we get a real one. Oh, about the council meeting today, Tom. I've said this once. I'll say it again. Where the hell are you, CBS? You were there to stir the crap. You were there to play the "oh my baby" crap and cut things wrong. But you haven't been there for the last year when the solutions are coming out.
Because they don't care about it.
No, I just want to call that again. People, watch our show. We will give you answers. We will call ourselves out. We will explain what you need to know. The news gives you 15 to 45 seconds of woo, and they move on.
Right.
And it was just highfalutin. Look at this disaster, and it hasn't been. They want that
rating.
Yeah.
They want those ratings.
So that was the MSAC one, which I was very pleased with. All right, cool. That means they're spending time and energy and officially sanctioned, officially watched resources on doing this.
The thing is, most of those people are. I mean, that's not a government-funded job.
I think most of it's all these councils are volunteer.
Or of course, if their employer is paying them.
Well, yeah.
To be there. Most of
but
them probably
it's not like taxpayers
salary,
are paying them or anything.
Yeah.
That's from what I understand. All of this is you're volunteering to be on this council. And maybe your employer is paying you to be there. I'm sure if we got a seat on the council, you'd pay me to go or pay yourself to go or whatever. But it's not, well, the state's doing it. It's a here's your money for showing up check. It's not that.
Right.
The trauma office gave their report, which was mostly positive. A bunch of great. I didn't recognize it. TTLC, TTELLE. I don't know. Some classes have been going on.
TECC?
Yeah,
Tactical Emergency.
So I know if I threw out enough letters, you catch me here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they just use letters. I'm like, well, I can't raise my hand and ask you what that is. So, all right, we'll just keep rolling.
Charles.
I don't know things. I talk. That's what I do. We ask the questions. It's up to all of us to find the answers.
A, B, C, D. Hey.
I'm sorry, did I knock your camera loose?
Respect the equipment, dude.
But there's a renewal of grants for all these. So they're looking for ideas. The TEEC, whatever it was.
The TCCC.
There you go.
Just say TCCC.
All right. So those classes are going on. There's going to be more Stop the Bleeds, but they're actually looking for ideas. Then it even comes down lower underneath that to the EMS subcommittee. The grants, they got equipment grants again.
Okay.
And so that is going out. The apps will go out in the next couple of weeks. He said by the simple math, which I inferred and I believe is there's formulas to what your application is, what your people are. But the simple math is roughly $731 per ambulance. And he said per ambulance out there. I don't know if he meant every ambulance on the road. I don't know how that breaks down. But there is equipment grants available. Look for those applications. Go look up the trauma office.
The Trauma Commission.
The Trauma Commission. I think it was the Office of Trauma Commission. That's why I wrote down Trauma Office. So you can apply for that. But also, there's about 45,000 in EMS education, and they are looking for ideas. Now, we got the information to partner with the Stop the Bleed, and hopefully we'll jump in and help with that. But for those of you educators out there, and of course for you, Tom, you come up with classes that will benefit the community as a whole. That would be phenomenal. They've got 90% of the school buses in Georgia have training and Stop the Bleed kits on their buses. What was the report? Six, I think. 6 incidences happened since all this has come out, maybe this calendar year. One was an actual single shooting at a school. 6 instances at schools have happened.
Right.
Out of those 6, one was a shooting. The rest were just something happened, non-negative, non-drama, and it worked. The training was there. The kits were there. They stopped the bleed, and it worked. These are great statistics that they're returning. But what I found interesting, I believe he said, is about for the United States in this Stop the Bleed class, about 9,000 people have been trained.
Wow.
In the state of Georgia, 1,000. So he said we're at 10%. That actually puts us over 10%. that our state is over 10% of the entire number of the United States, not nations.
United Nations.
Yeah.
We're going
We're the
worldwide.
world.
Where's our blue helmet?
We are the world.
We are the children.
Yeah. So those were cool. That's like, man, awesome, because I do get on top of myself and I get on top of papers like, oh, you only report the bad stuff but not the good stuff. So it's great to have a whole list of good stuff that's coming out of this. I'll jump to the end because I don't have the numbers here, but the CARES, which is the cardiac arrest response, so it's how they measure the cardiac arrests in Georgia and how that works.
The outcomes.
The outcomes, yeah. The numbers, the good numbers went up, like the saves and the walking out of the hospital numbers went up. The bad numbers went down, which is great. And the two ones that popped into my mind that stayed in my mind, the witnessed arrest by EMS went from the low 200s of good outcome, like walking out of the hospital outcome, went from the low 200s to almost 300 in the calendar year as saves, basically as good saves. But the percentage went from, I think, 11 or 12% up to 17% of set. That's a good number going up.
All right.
So those were really good. The licensing software is coming out, right? Now, I'm just getting the bullet points. There's a lot here to it. So check with your provider, your hosts, your owners of your companies, whoever you're with, to find out what you're going to need to do, because it's rolling out, I think, January 1st. It's 100% there. I know they've started rolling it out now. All licenses that the state does, the Department of Health does, all of our EMS licensure goes through there, period. So that means as an EMT, I get a portal, and I've got to put all my training uploaded. If you do not upload your training, even if you've turned in your payment and everything else, they will not issue your license till that training is up there. That's how it's verified. So you have to upload all your hours there before the renewal is issued.
Right.
If you don't renew, but there's a grace period, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't renew, you're instantly lapsed. You can't work even though you're renewing.
Certification.
Right. So they're working on a system of that. But this is part of the learning system is agency renewals. She was saying a lot of times, EJ was saying a lot of times a day or two before, an agency will walk in with a check and their application for renewal in hand. Well, the agency that is running this system, right, the agency that is managing, negotiating the Medicare, Medicaid licensures, certifications for the agencies, providers, it says it takes 60 days. It can take 60 days for that to re-up.
I'm
just hitting everything. I know.
Bull in the China shop.
To me, I wanted to point that out. And you've been part of that providership. You've been part of the people. Do you have to get a certification for the school?
No, I haven't.
I didn't think so.
Unless it's something they're going to change and add.
Well, she didn't mention that. So I just wondered. I didn't think so because I see all kind of fly-by-night systems coming into Georgia. Anyway, but for ambulance services, she was stressing, get it in 60 days before your renewal date, which is January 1st of 2020 for most. I mean, I don't know if they cycle over, like some numbers cycle over each other.
March 30th.
For agencies?
Well,
she said something about January 1st.
I don't know about agencies.
Yeah, for EMS.
Providers.
So for providers, we're basically just upload your stuff, do the little process, and it should kick you your numbers. But for agencies, it's 60 days.
They got it. Yeah.
So, and it might be, as she said, January 1st. So get it done. That means as an agency, you have to have, if Tom, you're the agency, you have to have all of my information uploaded into your system, as well as I have to have my information uploaded into my system as well, so they can track my numbers and my stuff. But I work for you. It has to be, everything has to be uploaded. So it's a lot of initial get it done.
All right.
Now here's the interesting part to all this. Did you ever hire people directly for EMS? Because I know HR at Newton did a lot of it.
Oh yeah, everything went through HR. I mean, we would do our interviews and we'd choose them, but then you'd have to go through HR, get your background check, drug screens, physicals, and all that stuff done.
Right, but who did the? Let me type into the state to see if their numbers are actually good or what's going on. Maybe nobody.
I don't think anybody. I think you just turned in your license and here you go.
Well, they're putting a stop to that right now. The
But
state
back in the
is.
day, whenever I did it, the internet barely existed.
That is
too.
true. Yeah, that is
So
true.
now
It's more of a phone call saying, "Hey,
'cause
EJ."
I know now you can go online and you can verify somebody's certification.
I know we can go to registry and verify. I know there's a state site already that you can go. It'll show me. Both sites will show me lapsed, paramedic, and active, advanced.
Right.
Is what they'll show. So I know I've looked my stuff up. So I know there's active open portals that have been around for a while. But this is different. This is for agencies. Of course, you have to have all your stuff there. You list. So I come to work for you. It's on you to verify my numbers. So the numbers no longer will have expiration dates printed on them.
Right.
At all. Because EJ was saying for the last 6 months, most of her investigations have been on people working under lapse numbers or no numbers at all.
You're like that one on the news?
Yeah, like the one on the
Like,
news.
oh.
Well, I'm not working. Really? We just watched you roll a patient in. Yeah.
We just saw you take a patient in there and you're standing by an ambulance with a stretcher and you're not working?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, don't procrastinate. Get it done. But
I'm not typing on this computer.
my no.
I'm not on Facebook.
So, because obviously we had paper copies, and I
Right.
never thought. I mean, I don't think that way.
And you were supposed to carry it with you all the time, had
Yeah.
to have your BLS certification and stuff like that.
And I always did.
So
I
I
still
thought there
do.
was a QR code on the new ones.
I don't know.
I think the one that Megan and them printed out, there's a QR code on it, and you could. I bet you can scan that QR code. Did
it's
you print
possible.
out your new one?
Yeah, it should be.
When
Yeah,
did you
that's
get that?
my new one. I printed it off the internet, and
No, that's an old one.
that's the one they sent to me in my email.
Yeah, when?
I don't know. It's
Like
one I
last month?
certified. No, not
No,
last
the
month.
one from that just went live.
Oh, there's new
Like
ones
this
there.
month, yeah.
I haven't even looked at that site yet, so I may have to log in before they send it to me. I don't know. But that's the thing. It doesn't have. It won't have. See, that says 2021 on mine. When I renew it, it won't have anything because then you can't just go, oh, well, it's current. You have to look it up in the system. Why is that important? It's important because nobody self-reports, and this is something that made me so happy for them to talk about today. Even though it's not perfect yet, it's far from it because it will not let you know. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
But I've told that story of the medic got caught stealing morphine, injecting it into a port in his ankle, and they just
Ugh.
fired him and swept it under the rug. No DEA report, no police report, no reporting to the state, just you're fired, get out. Well, that can still happen. That actually can still happen, right? But what will happen is you're being tracked for everywhere you work. And if you work for two systems, because MSAC, I think you're right, I think it's the medical control thing. But MSAC has always been asking for a while, how do we fight this fatigue? We talked to Chad Black about that specifically. And at that moment when we sat here, which was a few days ago, right, there's no way to track this because self-reporting is not going to be a thing. Everybody laughed in the room when EJ says, yes, people aren't self-reporting their arrests. And everybody kind of giggled. Of course they're not. Nobody's because they're just going to call out sick. As long as you don't find out, they can still work and it doesn't hurt them. Right? Because some places won't care, like Jasper County. I could tell you stories of the medic that would call in from the Cobb County jail to say he wasn't going to come in for the next couple of shifts because he's in jail. And as soon as he got out of jail, he came right back to work.
I remember a guy used to come to work with an ankle monitor on.
Dude, that's awesome. So, but places like AMR, places like AmeriPro would probably care because they have a different image. They have a different light and a different way they work.
Yep.
So, I'll be honest with you. I would probably do it because I feel guilty, but I'd have a hard time even sit down with you, Tom, here at the school and go, so I spent the weekend in jail, man. That's a hard conversation to have for an honest person. If you're not an honest person.
Hope it was fun.
Yeah, I saw my old buddy Ronnie in there. Anyway.
So you know who I was talking about.
That's
So
who I was
you
talking
knew.
about, too. Yeah, that's our boy. He's a good guy, man.
Yeah, love him
He's a
to
good
death.
medic, but he makes some weird choices in life. So here's the deal. I don't know that you can self-report, but when you hire, fire, or retire somebody from your service, you have 24 hours to put it in the system. Now, that is a bit of a negative to the larger companies because what are they getting from it? Right now, nothing. maybe in the long run we'll see this stuff being tracked and going, oh, they got fired because of drug use. They got fired because of this negative thing, this other negative thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll encourage systems like Newton, Piedmont, or AMR, Jasper County, because people are not systems, right? But maybe it'll encourage systems to step up and go, hey, we're not going to get blacklisted for saying this. We're not going to run into some legal issue. Oh, the state says it wants to know why you were let go. Okay, do. And what she was also saying with the no expiration date on these on the numbers, is people aren't looking it up to see that they're suspended, to seeing that they're revoked, to seeing that disciplinary action is pending. It's just, oh, hey, I got a paper copy of your numbers and we're good to go.
I just don't understand in today's time there should be a database if the employer has to report that you're working for me, and then the state goes in and under that person's profile, it should say, oh, they work for Tom's ambulance service and Tom is the contact person for that service. Oh, they also work for Charles's ambulance service and Charles is the contact person. Oh, they work for Newton EMS and Carly's the contact person for that place too. And then they get in trouble at my service and I report it and I terminate them, and then there's an investigation. So then they go under investigation and they're suspended. I don't understand why.
So that's what
that
this
email
is now.
would, an automatic email could go out
Now
and say,
that's
hey,
the catch.
alert, maybe not details, but hey, alert, you need to check the status of, you need to log in and check the status of John Doe. And then that says, oh, I need to check his stat. Oh, I need to take him off the schedule, Yeah.
No, but so I was very happy to see, because how many times have I ranted here? So-and-so stood up and said this thing that instantly I had 5 challenges to, and nobody said a word. Well, in this case, they very politely, 3 council members, very politely, at different times, right, saying it's like asking for that. So you're saying, because they're tracking that you work for 3 different services, because that's going to go into, I know that's going to go into research for fatigue, and maybe some new rules will come into play, something you and I have talked about call volume, above a certain call volume, 12-hour shifts. Well, how do you mandate that when they work different places? Well, now we have a tracking system. Okay, cool. But you're telling me that Tom fires John Doe and he's under investigation for stealing narcotics, but he's going to show up to my job the next day and I have no clue? Right now the answer is yes.
All right.
And EJ I want to be clear, EJ was the mouthpiece. She was the announcer of it. This is a report she's bringing. Yeah. She's not building the system. She's not running the system. So where she sits right now, her hands are tied, because she was asked directly by some of the council members, well, do you know the outcomes? She says, I do the investigations for her region. I do the investigation. I know the probable outcome of it. And yes, when the outcome happens, I am notified. And then what happens? Well, when it's closed, if you call me, I can tell you.
Right.
But I can't just, hey, and maybe, hopefully, and they're asking for that. Multiple people are on the council asking, say, no, this is important for companies. Mm-hmm. I know AMR themselves are like huge. I mean, they got 30 to 40 trucks on the road. I was talking to them today, asking them, like, at your core.
Hundreds of employees, yeah.
Every hour. By the way, I found out today, because I asked them, I want some numbers. How many at your core? At your core, they're running 30 to 32 trucks at any given time. At their peak, it's 36 to 40. They are shift changing every hour. They're changing a truck out every freaking 24 hours a day. That's a lot of coordination. It's a lot of employees. So you're telling me that they have this many employees and one of them screws up, and it's an outlier. It was even mentioned, the word outlier was mentioned on the council. It is not common for this to happen, but it happens. So you're telling me that they're going to come to this service and work here. I've got to upload all this information on everybody. I got 24 hours to say they're hired, fired, or retired to get it to you. There's no penalties yet, but it's a state, there will be. Because they're already putting that clock on it right now. So at some point there'll be a penalty. So I've got to do all that, but you're not going to give me anything. That was my thought. I was like, whoa, wow, that's a lot of preload for no return. Now down the road again, studies show this, studies show that. Sure, we get a better EMS system. But right now, that's a lot of work on our part to still have John Doe come and steal narcotics from me and me not know it.
Right, yeah.
So that was that was the not perfect part of it. But ultimately, the fact that we just sat here, you and I and Chad just sat here the other day and talked about how do you track multiple, it's already built into the system.
They're
It's
working
exactly
on it.
what they're doing.
There. I don't understand because all the PCRs are electronic, and you have to have them turned in. The state gets their data. I don't understand why there can't be a data point like, okay, Charles.
My numbers are on this many documents,
is on this many
because it's
calls.
a company number and my paramedic numbers are AMT numbers, yeah. So, yeah, but
I don't know, but that's probably I'm doing Star Trek here.
Yeah.
I'm a tech guy. I have a degree in computers. I know that but to implement something like that, I understand it would be very difficult right now with the technology we have. So I'm just saying that would be nice.
It's cross-system, and that's the problem.
That would be nice to have.
Yeah.
If we could.
Well, part of it, so we don't have that, but now it's mandatory that when you hire somebody, because you have to look up their numbers, you put in the system, they're working for me now, and they start tracking all that. When you look up that person, you're talking about, it'd be nice to have a database, the database pops up.
Yeah.
And it will say, not just suspended, it'll say suspended, here's why. Under review, here's why. They were not suspended, here's why. Details are there about what was investigated, what the complaint was. That, dude, you talk about transparency. Now, that's still just for providers, but that's the transparency providers have needed from the dawn of time.
Yep.
Man.
So you know what you're getting before you get it.
So you know what you're getting. And it'll have a history that I worked for National, and I worked for Jasper, and I worked for Newton. It'll show. So if I got back in the field today, and
when you're checking that resume to make sure they're telling the truth.
Oh, yeah. How many times, dude, that's an honest question to you. How many times have you had a resume that you knew the person at that service? You're like, hey, Charles, so-and-so and so. And they're like, nope, that never happened. They weren't here. A lot, huh? Mm-hmm. So now it's just a database. Now you don't have, and that was something that I know Huey was one of my mentors, Huey Atkins, and he had told me at one point, there's a fine line they have to walk with HR going to somebody call, because I was bringing up that in my young 20-year-old mind of, why can't we do this? Well, we can't. I was right all along, but they just had to catch up with me. Because you can get in trouble if somebody calls you and says, did they work there? You're supposed to say yes or no. And you're not supposed to add information. And this was 90s. I mean, rules were probably changed a dozen times since then. But this was in the late 90s, early 2000s when he's telling me this. So there was this fear of, if we say, well, we let go of Tom because we believe he stole drugs and he's under investigation, well, it hasn't been proven yet.
That word you just said, believe.
Yeah. And that's probably what he was emphasizing to me. It's been a long time ago. But yeah, he's like, it's facts, it's this, it's that. So for the most part, even if we don't believe there's enough to charge somebody with a crime, we just have to let them go. Mm-hmm. And when they say, did they work there? You say, yes. And, well, can you tell us anything else? No. Because we can tell you we believe he took morphine. We found some morphine. We just couldn't tie it directly to him.
Right.
You know, yeah. But now there's, hopefully the system will grow. Because she didn't say it'll be help investigations, but hopefully it will grow into, hey, this is why we fired them. Because you have to put in details. They left on their own accord, whatever. Mm-hmm. So this is a great step in that direction. The other thing with that is you and me, we've got to get to these instructor updates because this system, there's going to be new requirements for instructors starting January 1st for new instructors. Not for us. We're grandfathered in or whatever. But our friend Jerome, if he doesn't get his instructor by December 31st, we have to understand what these new things are. And it has to do with this system as well. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we're having to put in input from school side.
And I welcome new requirements. I think the requirements do need to change. I think it is too easy for someone to just become an EMS instructor. Not taking anything away from my fellow EMS instructors, especially here, because they come here and we help get them, but it's just too easy because if somebody wanted to, they could say, oh, I want to be an EMS instructor and start a class out of my garage.
Some do.
They can do that, and that shouldn't have to. Yeah. And I know there's some accreditation requirements coming up and stuff, and we got to get on.
We're working on that already,
yeah. Yep.
But if we don't make it to the GEMSA conference, which, we have friends over there if they wanted to invite us to do some promo material for them. I'm just saying, too. But if we don't make it.
We're here. Have Cameron and Mike.
Yeah,
we'll travel.
I'm all for value for value. I'll come work for you, and then in return, I'm getting the stuff I need. And this part's free anyway. The instructor updates are free anyway. And actually, we found out on their website. I want to put this out to the world because I thought it was a great thing because it's done by grants.
Right.
The 8-hour instructor update is free. You get lunch for free, and if you stayed in a hotel, you get there's obviously a process to go through, but you get $125.
I think it was $125.
$125 reimbursement towards that.
Yeah, but you gotta turn in all the documents and everything.
Which I was like, holy cow, that's amazing.
I think you'll get like probably a month later or something. I don't know, but they're supposed to give out that information at the conference when you get there.
Yeah. So I mean, so they're helping fund people to come. Basically,
Yeah.
obviously they're not going to pay you to come, but that's pretty freaking close.
Right.
And that's not even part of the conference. That's pre-con.
pre-con.
So it's 100% free. You just got to get there.
Yep. They even
All right.
provide lunch.
Yeah. But if we don't make it, there's going to be 3 instructor updates in Region 3 and other regions as well, but 3 specifically in Region 3 for us because of this system. And
Gotcha.
And so we're going to get that. All right. So now for the juicy bits, right?
Okay.
So I wanted to
juice.
lead with the positive. I was
The
very
juice.
pleased. I was very happy with this council meeting. I think these are great steps in the right direction.
Get ready for the juice.
It's going to take time. That's a negative. I mean,
Nah.
it's been, there you go, smacking your
can't
camera
just-
again.
Thanos did it.
Hey, you realize it's been almost a year to date since the DeKalb controversy started?
Yeah.
It's been basically a year to date for the ad hoc council, so it's been about a year and a month or so. Yeah, so, and time flies. But that's how long it's taken to get to what I'm about to talk about. But we'll get to that. South Fulton gave the
Oh,
report.
no.
South Fulton gave the report. I went back and re-listened just to make sure I get the words right. So they met in June. This is August, but this is a report from June. They met in June with all the city councils and elected officials, and they're all pleased, is what Steve Moyer says. They're all pleased with our progress and our service we've been providing. Now, Tom, if I asked you if you were pleased with the education that you've been getting and who have you talked to, would you tell me, yeah, I've talked to all my students and they're all pleased?
Yeah.
Right? I'm sorry, it's laughable. Why is the fox guarding the hen house here? I'm not saying he's dirty. I'm saying we don't know. I've heard, and that's all I can say. I don't have facts. I haven't talked to the chief. I've heard that that's not true. I've heard there's plenty of officials that are not.
I mean,
happy.
we had an undisclosed source that is in the know, right?
Yeah.
On the button. Say that
They've
completely
talked to him.
different.
Yeah, it's a completely different story.
completely different, and it'll probably be in a publication soon.
I want to ask the questions, and it's up to us to all get the answers. And my question is, why? I know he's a council member, but he should not be bringing his own report from what he's doing. When you get a laugh from the crowd that, oh, arrests aren't being self-reported, you think he's going to go, no, everybody hates us. They think we're doing crap. We actually sit up late at night pulling our hair out and stressing. I've lost 80 pounds going, why the hell did we do this in the first place? He's not going to say that.
Maybe a representative from
AMR?
outside agency. Oh, yeah. That,
Yeah,
that
don't say
would
AMR.
go over like a
That
lead
would not,
balloon,
yeah.
right?
AMR was like, oh, I got the report from you. No,
Yeah.
because they're the ones who got booted.
What I would like to know is what was AMR's response times versus what?
12 minutes.
12 minutes?
12 minutes when they got booted from the county. It was 12 minutes.
12 minutes. What is it now?
As of this date, year to date, 21,150 calls, according to what he said in the meeting, year to date. Again, we can't verify his numbers. We don't know. 11.3 minutes response time on average. And the months of May and June kicked that out of the 10-minute window, was his quote. So 11.3 minutes is where
What's
we're at 1 freaking year of service. We're at 11 minutes when you promised 9. They got booted for 12.
So they've had a year,
They've had a year.
and they've only reduced.
By 0.7 minutes. That's not 70 seconds, so let's call it 40-ish seconds, 45 seconds.
You know, 10%, 6 seconds.
So 6, 12, 20, 6, 18. So that'd be 22, or I'm sorry, that'd be 82 minutes, or 82 seconds. dang it. I can't do math, Tom. What are you doing to me, man? But you get the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, after a year. And it was reported to the public. And that's all I can go on because you're not telling me anything, Steve. Come on the show, Steve. Sit right here and talk to me. And yeah, I'll be a little aggressive, but I'm going to be polite. And I'm going to let you talk.
Or you could even go to his office if you wanted to.
You know, hey, yeah, I'll come to you. But I want to see numbers. I want to see plans. And I want to see what your actual proposal was. Because this year, your new proposal, if you ever put one out, is going to be different. So you can't tell me it's trade secrets.
Because when does that zone come open again? I mean, is there... Did they have a time period?
I think South Fulton. I see. Maybe Terrence needs to come back and talk to us.
That's what.
I don't know.
I'm not advocating because I do not work for AMR. I did many years ago, and I'll be honest with you. Whenever I left AMR, I said I'd never go back at that time because I was unhappy. Things have changed. You know, I'm not looking to go work on an ambulance, but I would work there. I would work a lot of places. But I'm not saying this because I'm trying to, AMR is the best, AMR is the best, because I don't know that. It wouldn't have mattered if it was AMR, Rural Metro, National, Puckett, Metro. Take the name of that ambulance service out of it. They were running South Fulton. Apparently they had a 12-minute response time. South Fulton was unhappy. Somebody came in and said, we can do it in 8 minutes. 9 minutes.
They promised 9 minutes.
They promised 9 minutes. Well, heck, that doesn't even work for Dunwoody, does it? But anyway, they made promises, and they couldn't keep it. They can't keep it, and they're not keeping it. And what are they doing to keep it? Are they making changes? Because I haven't heard anything. Because I know there was some private providers in there, and they kicked the private providers out, didn't they?
Yeah, Maripro was running back up there, and
so they're not
there anymore.
So. Really? And are those numbers for real? Because we don't know. We don't know. Those are self-reported numbers. Don't know. However, I don't think that was done fairly, and that's why I'm like, Trent, we need some change here. You know, where is, when this decision's made, what guidelines was used to make this decision?
Yeah.
Because somebody just coming up there and saying, I can do it in 8 minutes. I can do it in 9 minutes. I'll do it in 9 minutes tomorrow. Put me in there and we'll do it in 9 minutes. Well, okay. So what happened is that they kicked a service out, displaced employees that may have left that service to go to the new service. They lost pension funds. They lost 401ks.
Yeah.
Their insurances changed. They were displaced.
Their seniority changed.
And seniority's changed for less than a minute, and they haven't withheld. And that's where I'm on my. And it doesn't matter. It could have. I know it's Grady that's there. It doesn't matter what service. Take Grady's name out. Put XYZ service. Don't care whose service it is. But that's where I thought the region councils are supposed to come in to not only protect the public, but they have a duty to protect the providers as well. Those people working on that ambulance.
Yeah. Maybe Terrence can come back and explain, because the first time he came, they were still in South Fulton. We were only talking about the cab and that issue. Maybe he can come and tell us how South Fulton works, what led up to it, because he has openly talked about, we had a plan that we got the new proposal, got it down to 12 minutes, and they were averaging 12 to 15 minutes, give or take whatever month or whatever time period, right? But they said we get it down to a promise of 12 minutes unless you can pay something. Because South Fulton isn't paying anything. It is straight off of billables, from what I understand. So South Fulton's getting a service for free. Well, for free, you can get 12 minutes. Well, then the promise was 9. And from what the reports that come out from inside the service, from inside the employees who left with AMR, from every source that I've heard, that was the deciding factor. 9 minutes done. And
exactly.
The first report they gave in November, a few months after they took over, was 18 minutes. Now we're in a year later from when they took over, and they're at 11.3 minutes. And they still made an excuse that 2 months kicked it out. Why? Why did that 2 months kick it out of the 10-minute range?
Well, take those out.
Or did he take stuff out? That's the other thing. Are these only emergent numbers? which that 9 minutes is only for emergent calls anyway.
Right.
But what does your non-emergent look like? And he used the word transparency, and it pissed me off because he said, Steve Moyer said, their CAD to CAD integration from Fulton to South Fulton is not working. The integration is not working. There's some kind of technical software issue and an engineering. He used the word engineering. He didn't say thing. I forget what he said. But he said it better than I'm saying it. But basically, they're working on, and the software provider says there are things that they're doing that should fix it. Well, we've not from him, but we've heard that from providers before. Yeah, but that will bring faster responses between the two systems once they get them integrated, and more transparency. I'm sorry, did you hand out a packet to everybody in the room that showed your numbers for year to date? No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Did you even quote your numbers? No, you really just said it's a year-to-date average of 11.3 minutes. Okay. I'm just disappointed, man. And at that, nobody and the head of the committee went, any questions for it? No questions.
And just so we're clear, if they would have met the mark and they'd been making the 9-minute mark, we'd be saying,
they'd spiking the ball, and we
would be to it. We'd be saying, look, that's the way you do it. That's the way it's supposed to be done. So
if they were doing it for free, absolutely,
that's the way it's supposed to be done. But if you walk in there and you cannot pull that card, well, it's free. Nope, you walked in there and you made the you said that you would do this.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
So but there is some things that I've said before. One, Fulton County, you got to pay. I'm sorry, you're paying for all these other services and you're paying for other things in your county. You got to pay for EMS.
Yeah, period. That's a big problem too.
I understand Grady said that they do it for free, and that's good. Good for y'all. You work that out, but that's not fair.
But AMR was doing it for free, and you wanted them to do 9 minutes for free, and you bought the lie.
Yep.
You bought the lie, and you're stuck with it because you don't control your providership. Region 3 does. And not from Region 3, I'm dealing with a different organization doing something else, but as I've heard, once the time limit's done, they're on to other things. If I want a change done, it better be a damn good reason. And at this point, they just a year ago changed the providership, and Fulton County comes knocking on the door. I imagine EJ or whoever's responsible for answering that door will go, there better be a damn good reason you're standing on my doorstep asking me to change this again.
Yep.
Well, I don't know who's the responsible. Is it Region 3's responsibility because they bought the lie, or is it Fulton County's? I don't know. I don't know the process. I'd love to get more insight on that process. So please, somebody come on the show. Terrence, anybody who knows the process, come on the show. Tell it to us. Email me, charles@gaims.com. One last thing here. So DeKalb. Essentially, DeKalb's been vindicated. AMR has been vindicated, more or less.
Yeah.
I say it that way because nobody in politics wants to go, Robert, done. This is done. AMR's good. Done. Nobody will do that. So it's still but a year later, DeKalb Fire, I got the numbers here too from Chief Fulham. The DeKalb Fire is running 3 quick response units right now. They've got 2 more coming. These are brand new trucks. We've talked about those. Those F-250s. They're big trucks. They're beautiful. They got 2 more coming up. One will be in Dunwoody when it comes up. So that'll give them 5. Now, and they've opened up 20 paramedic-only positions to do that backfill.
Right.
So the way it's explained to me was AMR is the first out, right? And they run a call. And this is more in the remote areas where it's harder to get to, like the Northern Corridor.
And the down towards Stonecrest.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Yeah, the unincorporated Stone Mountain and Stonecrest, and So AMR will be first out, which they still have to provide. The RFP technically is still out, but it doesn't look like it's going to change from the outside. AMR runs that call until they can get another truck down there. Then you have the fire truck as that backfill. Then if another call comes out, boom, ambulance is there, and there's going to be Do you think that's 5 trucks for 20 medics, or is that 10 trucks? Or
I heard it was 10.
Is it 10? Because they'd run 24-hour shifts, and if it's backfill, it's not a standing 24 because you're only catching the backup calls. So I could see that being 10 trucks. It's interesting they're going to run double medic trucks. You know.
Yeah.
They're hiring 20 medics for that. So that's a good middle ground, right? That's a good thing. Officially, the ad hoc council, their proposal was, hey, our charge was just to make sure that Dunwoody and DeKalb were talking to each other and helping that conversation. Chief Elliott said it again. He's like, they did it. They were doing it before we got there. We facilitated it, but we've watched, and everybody in this report said, looking at just run times is just one piece of the puzzle, and that's not the entire picture. And looking at these things month to month, because that's what those reports were. Well, in the month of June, it was this. In the month of July. And honestly, in the report that we read from the ad hoc council, the actual last meeting they had, Dunwoody is doing that. They're just narrowing in on that month to month. And the chief said it. Chief Fulham said it. Chief Elliott said it. The chief from Roswell said it. The doctor said it. It's like, look, you never know. You're never going to get a good response time, because no matter what response time you get, you always want less. That's just from a doctor's standpoint. Mm-hmm. You always want it faster. So there's never a perfect number. But secondly, looking at the nitty gritty of month to month, some things that you change, those quick response vehicles won't change response times tomorrow. You'll see that change over a month.
Right.
Okay. But these trucks that are rolling out, you might not see for 6 months. Repositioning where AMR sits and looking at the better placements, you won't see for 6 months. You know, it's a long term. So essentially, Dunwoody, the whole issue of Dunwoody gets its own zone until, I'm inferring this was not said, but until MSAC comes back with a zoning process recommendation for the entire state, it's off the table. Now, the ad hoc council was asked to essentially stay together. They're not dictating how many times they have to meet, but basically be available if there's mediation needed between DeKalb County and Dunwoody. Here's where I have a problem with that, and this is the last part of this meeting here. And, of course, any questions you have, Tom. Chief Fulham led with, there's been a lot of great conversations, a lot of good things have happened. There were changes that we're starting to make that the director of EMS for DeKalb County, who is over Chief Fulham, they have made it, actually not the director, the county CEO has made it Dunwoody a priority over everything else. Let's fix this. This is a great indicator of what a problem is. If we can fix this, it'll help everybody else.
All right.
So they've made it a priority. He said there's been a lot of great conversations. In fact, after the last ad hoc council, which is where Dunwoody begged for ad hoc to stay together and to give them a zone. And they said, well, zoning was never our charge, and we've helped the conversation. We've met our charge, so we're taking this recommendation back to the main council to disband. We've done our job. They met for an hour. DeKalb County and Dunwoody met for an hour after with a meeting that Fulham said, and I believe we came up with some really great responses. We came up with some good solutions together. And Dunwoody's mayor still had to stand up and say, hey, stick together. You are such great mediators. Tom, in normal conversations, sometimes you do need a little bit of mediator. Just say, hey, both of you are hearing each other a little wrong. You're saying the right things. Like we're talking about with GEMSA and the Transparency Agency. You're saying things differently, but but you're not at odds. You really need a mediator when you're at odds and you're not going to fight it out. You're going to talk it out, but you're angry at each other. From the DeKalb County side, they're not angry at each other. From the words that Dunwoody's using, they're not angry at each other. What do you need a mediator for?
Yeah.
So, from the looks of it, AMR is not going anywhere. DeKalb has made some good improvements on helping with response times, and it's still going to continue to improve. So that's what we know. The end. Pass the plate. Pay me. No. So yeah. I mean, is there anything you have questions about? You got your comments in kind of as we went, but
no.
So
I think we're good.
Awesome.
Ready to rock.
So check us out. Here's the thing. You can help us out by listening to the podcast. We're with Anchor.fm, so you can download this and listen to it in the car. And if we have everything set right, there'll be a little ad that plays in the middle, and it helps us out when you do that. We're working on Patreon. If you like what we do, if you there's stuff to do here at the office, but it would absolutely help if this brought in some support for me to go out and go to somebody's office and talk to them. Those kind of things. If you want more honest reporting, and I hate the word reporting because I'm not a journalist. I'm not telling you a story. I'm just trying to explain. I'm asking the questions. I'm looking for answers. That's what I'm doing here.
And educate the public.
And educating the public, absolutely. We try to just clear up the fogginess and also highlight the good. I mean, I was so happy to see that this wasn't just a fight meeting again, that
Yep.
it was a lot of good things have come. And it was a disruptor. And last year, disruption happened. Now, Dunwoody's still not happy. They don't have their own service.
Can't make everybody happy.
But, the
But
statewide
the people are
is
served.
raising up. Exactly. And who knows, when they do, if they come out with a revamp of the zoning system that makes sense, maybe Dunwoody will get something then. Who knows? Who knows? So check us out every Thursday around 3 o'clock Eastern. Subscribe to the channel. We're putting out more videos. Sometimes, like with Chad Black, we do special interviews, and those go out just in the middle of the week. Right now, on our page is info video, if you'd call it, why ambulances are delayed.
Exactly.
It's
Check it out.
1 minute, 6 seconds long. It's
Share
super
it.
fast.
Send it around.
Share it.
Educate people.
Use it in your services. Use it as PSAs. Put it out in your newsletters. We are not charging for it. It does have our little watermark on it, so we put the work in. And at the end, it just has our Facebook page. So there's not like, come to our school. No, we're trying to educate the public. And that helps. Talking to the public, letting them know why this stuff happens helps. As services, use it. Send it to your councilman. Send it to your news outlets. Use it however you want to use it. We just want the public to understand how this works and what they can do to help with that.
Yep.
So, all right. Any last things to say, Thomas?
That's it.
All right. Well, until next week, subscribe and like our channel, share the videos, and ask the questions. And it's up to us, all of us together, to get those answers.
Yep. See you later.